One of the things I love so much about worshiping the Lord is remembering how He created all things. And that when we look at nature, we can see His hand in everything. Today we're going to be looking at an area of the world, the Mediterranean, where Israel is, where Rome is. And to do that, I have this globe with me here. It helps us to see different places on the map. When we look at all these places, the lands and the oceans, we can remember that this is His world. This is my Father's world. This is my Father's world, and to my listening ear, all nature sings and round me rings the music of the sphere. Well, just like our globe, maps can show us where things are. And here we can see lots of different bodies of water that are in the area of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. We have the Atlantic Ocean over there, the Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea, the Red Sea here, and over here the Persian Gulf. Now, so much of the Bible takes place in this area of the world. The last time we saw the Hebrew people in the Old Testament, they had just come back from being slaves in Babylon. They had come back to the land of Israel, and they had rebuilt the temple of God. And the walls around Jerusalem they no longer had to be slaves in Babylon, but were back home. What joy it was for them to see their temple again. Although it was different than it used to be, they were sure that this second temple was a sign that God was with them once again. That maybe soon the promised seed, the Messiah, would come and deliver them from the rule of the Persians. The prophet Micah did say that the seed would come from the town of Bethlehem, and that one day he would come forth and be the ruler in Israel. So the people waited and waited and waited. But soon their safety and freedom was in peril again, as they received a threat from Haman, the prime minister of Xerxes in Persia, saying that all the Jews throughout the Persian Empire would be slaughtered on a specific day. The people were afraid and wondered if the seed would come now to rescue them from the hand of Haman. But the Lord said, "Not yet." The Lord used other servants like Esther and Mordecai to deliver the people from the hand of those who wanted to kill them. The Jews did not die. God remembered His promise. This miraculous victory is still celebrated today in the festival of Purim. So the people waited and waited. In the time of waiting, the Persian king Xerxes was defeated by the Greeks. And Alexander the Great began to rule the empire. The people wondered if now was a time that their seed would come. But the Lord said, "Not yet." The Jews adopted some of the Greek customs and even began to speak the Greek language. And Alexander left the Jews in peace. But after he died, a struggle began among the generals of Alexander, and they divided up the land in 4 parts. And now the Ptolemies controlled the area of Egypt and the area of Israel as well. But the Ptolemies didn't keep their control of the area, and instead another general from the area of Macedonia, the Seleucids began to take control of the area of Israel. The Seleucids were a cruel empire. They demanded that the Jews stop all of their celebrations, all of their worship for their God, and only worship Greek gods. The new Greek king from the Seleucid Empire, Antiochus, came one day and forbade the people to worship their God, to worship Yahweh, and instead demanded that they worship the pagan Greek gods. And he even made the temple of God into a shrine for Zeus. The people thought that now must be the time that the seed would come and rescue them from the hand of this evil man. But the Lord said, not yet. Instead, an old priest named Mattathias and his sons led a revolt against Antiochus and the Seleucids. And after a long fight, they won and were victorious. They got rid of the Seleucid Empire. Cleansed the temple and rededicated it to the Lord. This feast is still celebrated today, and it is called Hanukkah, the Feast of Lights. That was 164 BC. And while the Jewish people enjoyed ruling over themselves for about 100 years, their joy didn't last long, because a new empire had risen in the west. Rome. In 63 BC, the Roman general Pompey came to the area of Israel. He entered the temple of God. He declared that Jerusalem, the temple, and all the people now belonged to the Roman Emperor, Augustus Caesar. Despite all these changes and the fact that the people were still waiting for the seed to come, God showed himself faithful by preserving the people and not letting them be completely destroyed, whether by the Persians, the Greeks, and now the Romans. I wonder if the seed would now come to rescue the people. I wonder if the people who had been waiting and waiting and looking for the seed would recognize him when he came. I wonder if the people were surprised at the way God sometimes chooses to do things.